American politicians have 4 weeks in which to come to a deal to stop the country falling back into recession. So far, the signs aren't particularly encouraging. Republicans and Democrats will have to agree to raise taxes and cut spending by January the 1st, or face automatic triggers that would cause economic pain both here and around the world. International markets are watching these negotiations very carefully. The sticking point for conservative Republicans is whether to agree to raise taxes, something they are philosophically opposed to. One of them is Republican Congressman from Georgia, Jack Kingston. He is up on Capitol Hill for us tonight. Thank you very much for joining me, Congressman.
Well, thank you, Katy.
The world is watching these negotiations very carefully. There is a lot at stake, both in America and, of course, in international economies as well. Can you reassure them that you will come to some sort of a deal?
Yes, I think that we will. You know, we're in the early stage of the serious negotiations, and the president put forth an offer. Now, Speaker Boehner has put forth an offer. The fact that those offers have been rejected by either side, that's to be expected, but it still is testing the ground. And I think that we have seen this before between this speaker and this president. They have gone through this process. I believe that we will get there. Both sides know that we can't win by refusing to compromise, and we understand that compromise, we both have a right to be here, and we have countered with some revenue increases. We want to see what the president will do in terms of cuts. We're very concerned about the deficits, particularly the deficits that he's run up. But I believe we'll get there. I really do.
Congressman, you are a perennial optimist. Every time I speak to you, you make everything seem sunny. But actually, when you talk to people in the White House, they say there isn't much going on behind the scenes that is giving them cause for optimism, that we are pretty much at the moment at a stalemate. Republicans don't want to raise taxes. Democrats don't want to cut spending.
Well, here's why I think there will be a compromise. The president has the political upper hand at the moment. That is, if
he won the election.
Yes, and that is, if nothing happens, then the tax rates do expire as is, then they go up and the sequestration takes place. And he can politically blame that on Republicans, although it was a joint agreement going back to August 2011. However, politically, he would have the upper hand. Now, policy-wise, he still has to come back to the same speaker in the same Republican House within a few months and ask for an increase in the debt ceiling. And so he knows that if he sours the atmosphere right now, that it will be very difficult for him to get an increase in the debt ceiling in a couple of months. So I believe that's motivation for both of us to say, okay, you know, let's cut out all the political posturing and make a deal, because we realize as professionals we have to get it done.
Congressman, why are you so opposed to raising taxes? Taxes in America are at a historical low at the moment. It has to be done, doesn't it?
Well, I believe there's a spending problem more than a tax problem. Historically, taxes have been about 18% of GDP. They're down now, not because of a reflection of rates, but because of the economy and people not working.
In a gesture to equity and to sharing the burden of whatever has to be done to fix America's finances, isn't it fair enough for Republicans to say, okay, the wealthiest can pay a little bit more?
Well, that's why we have put on the table increase in revenue, because we are willing to eliminate loopholes. I can tell you, as somebody who's under this system, that if you got the right accountant and the right lawyer, you're going to pay less taxes than the next person, regardless of your income level. And so, to me, I think eliminating these loopholes does do what the president has been talking about: fairness. Also, it gives shared burden, which is what we want to do. But we have actually said, okay, we're willing to increase revenue somewhat. We get there a different route than the president does, but now in exchange, the president needs to put on what he's willing to do to reduce spending, and so far he has not done that.
The ever-optimistic Congressman from Georgia, Jack Kingston, thank you very much for joining me.
We will get there.
Okay, and the financial markets are watching. Thanks very much.